See, steel, needless to say, steel is a versatile material for the use in buildings. And obviously, it's a need-based rather than, being a global solution to everything. Because at the end of the day, it will be the economics also which will work in the use of the steel. So in my presentation over here, I have done some case studies which will display, the use of steel in a very specific need-based environment where it was required to be used. So, to start with, this is the first slide. Which shows, if this structure could have been a concrete structure, can you imagine how it could have been? So the versatility and the architecture that's presented by this steel is beyond words. Nobody can say it. So steel is something which is very versatile, which can be used in many environments, which can be used for various uses. So I'm comparing this steel construction with a regular RCC construction. This could have been a regular RCC construction. If I compare with the steel construction, now you can see the number of operations in the case A, that will be the RCC, and the number of operations that we'll have to do in a case B, where there's a use of a steel. So the time saved and the time value of the money, whatever is saved in this, so it can be obvious, which is showcased in the later slides of this presentation. Now, if you can see, the time taken for the foundations, taking the buildings up, and on the contrary, a steel structure, which is being done off-site, and while the foundations are happening, or the basement is happening, the steel structure is getting parallelly ready. So it gives us a lot of time advantage in terms of construction of a building. So not only time advantage, but there's a lot of, in terms of accuracy, in terms of quality, so there's a lot of advantage in steel buildings. So the question obviously is, why steel? What is the need? Why one should go for a steel? So as I said, the first is the speed. The speed is a very high speed, which you can have an off-site production. And while you are doing on-site activities, you can parallelly run, you can make a structure ready in a knockdown condition and get it at a later date, assemble it much faster. So speed is a very important factor in a steel structures. Second, it's a high-quality material, high-quality product will be achieved with steel because the production is a very controlled production in case of steel. It's unlike RCC where you have a lot of variable factors. So in case of a steel, it's a very controlled production and it can be maintained in a factory environment. Thirdly, steel buildings are quite, in terms of flexibility of the structure is there in case of a steel structures, which becomes little well cumbersome when it comes to RCC. So as I said, a steel production is a very controlled production, which is not in case of a RCC, which is on a, which has a variable factors, on-site conditions, ground conditions, a lot of human interfaces. So the quality production, the controlled production makes it a very qualitatively very high for steel. Steel compared to this, if it's properly maintained, is highly durable. It's as durable as any other material. And as far as the economy is concerned, it is economical when we see it with reference to the time value of the money, when we see it to the use case. So it is definitely economical at places, in instances where where the time value of the money is of consideration. So I'm taking a case study. This is a building which is in Powai. So it's under construction. So this particular building is roughly around 30-story building, including the podium and 2 basements. So while the basement work was going on, and it was quite tedious because the neighboring buildings were there were quite, operating hotel was next door. So it was quite a very sensitive site. So while the basement works were happening, so the production of the steel was happening off-site. So as we were ready with the basements, so immediately the structure was brought in, and the assembling started for this particular building. So first advantage, there was a time saving. Second, there was a lot of noise reduction in the environment over there. The work was very highly qualitative because it was pre-designed, prefabricated, and brought in a knockdown condition and assembled only at site. So it was a very high quality, high quality material assembled at site. While the fabrication of this structure was happening, we were simultaneously manufacturing the facade also for this building. So it was like a jigsaw puzzle, which was coming, it was a Lego coming in a pack, getting assembled. So as and when we were through with the basement, it was as good as completing the building structure. So roughly the steel used in this building was around 13,000 metric tons. So this is the under construction picture of the building. So this again the under construction picture of the building. So you can see while the construction was happening, the facade work had started. So another building, it's in Hyderabad, which is roughly around 1.5 million square feet. This building had a peculiar demand that it was in a SEZ, and there was a sunset clause to the entire SEZ. So we had to complete this building within a time span of roughly 15 months. While Hyderabad being very rocky, so a lot of time was consumed in excavating the rocks. So while the excavation was happening, so we understood that if we start completing this building with regular concrete, we may not be able to end it by the due date what was prescribed. So eventually we changed our track and we started thinking of, while we'll complete the basement with the required RCC and all, we'll change the design into steel structure, and we can start going off-site construction. And while the basement is getting complete, we'll keep the other things ready and we'll get. So the whole shift, obviously it took some time to take a decision. It was not an overnight decision. While it took some time, but in the end, if we could complete this building in a matter of 15 months. So basement itself took around 9 months, and the entire structure balance was 6 to 9 months it was completed. So we could achieve our target. And in terms of pricing and all, so it fitted into our criteria. So that's a wonderful case, where we could achieve the end result by completing this building in a timely manner. Otherwise, there would have been a penalty for this structure. So while these cases there are numerous cases where we'll see that at the end of the day, it is the economics which decides what type of building. But if particularly we're discussing about the steel buildings, it is versatile, it is a high quality product, it's a very qualitatively high quality buildings, because it's constructed or manufactured in a very in a very quality environment. It's a line production. So to that extent, I'll say that steel buildings is a very precision, high quality buildings and can be actually completed in a very timely manner. So rather, it's the availability of the tile, as Harsha was saying, the type of high-grade steel and all. So the availability of steel sometimes poses a challenge, which I'm sure, over the years will ease out. But I'm sure, definitely that's going to help. And if that stance of, improvisation of the steel quality, high-grade steel happens, so I'm sure, one, in terms of tonnage also, the buildings will reduce. The consumption of steel also will reduce. As he was mentioning, using less steel means creating less carbon footprint. So that's going also to happen. So in the end, it's a gain for everybody. So only my today's wish to steel manufacturers is that availability of high-strength steel should be available much more than it's available presently. So these are some of the pictures of the under construction building, which is happening at that point of time. So as I said, reasons for going for steel was obviously we had our business needs, so we had to complete it within a time frame. So that's how we changed it from RCC to steel. Now, this is the recent one which much talked about building, which L&T did for DRDO. So you can see the newspaper cutting and all. So they did this building, 1,30,000 square feet in a matter of 45 days. Of course, this is the site. It's the time taken at the site. Obviously, there were enabling works. There were the off-site works which has happened. But this is a wonderful case of a steel building, how it can be completed in such a short duration. Thank you very much.